always had Cameron Boozer over AJ Dybantsa for as long as I've had takes on these guys, at least 2-3 years. And I flipped that early in the college season. I think the early college season sample can be really, really telling. And plays like this are why AJ Dybantsa at Madison Square Garden against Clemson in the fourth quarter, just rocketing to the basket. 6'9", 18-year-old wing with one of the most impressive athletic packages I've ever scouted. And AJ Dybantsa pretty much has answered two questions that I had about him coming into the season, and we're going to go over those and why I felt confident moving him up to number 2. But likes, comments, subscribes would be really appreciated. I really appreciate the recent support. Has been awesome. Let's get this to 100 likes for more draft content. Despite his exceptional size and speed and explosiveness, AJ actually didn't get to the rim all that much for someone of his athletic talent in high school. At Utah Prep, his last season, he was taking about a quarter of his shots at the basket, and at BYU, it's up to around 45%. Oh my God, I wish he dunked that. Let's just pay attention to where he picks the ball up, right here, and he's gonna take 2 steps from here, 1 step, 2 step, outside of the paint basically, and almost spikes that over the defender. Like, I don't care that that goes in. This to me is evidence of just, one, the incredible flexibility and bend to get in these compact positions at 6'9" with a crazy wingspan. Like, I think his flexibility to me is the true like special sauce that makes AJ like an all-time special athlete. Because there are other guys who have like the burst and the explosiveness and stuff, but there aren't guys who have his bend and flexibility. And man, AJ is playing so much more methodically and kind of like purposefully off the catch, especially where I was worried, and there's still a lot of like catch and survey in his game, but pump fake immediately, takes 3, 4 dribbles, or just 3 dribbles there. But I love Dybantsa kind of just bashing his way to his spot. He's not settling for like a tough fadeaway jumper like he loved to do pre-NCAA, and he just mashes his way to the basket. His functional strength, his explosiveness, and when his handle's holding up, he is really unstoppable. Oh my goodness, this is the kind of stuff that AJ was doing since he was like 15 or whatever. Crazy explosive hang cross, and yeah, this like-sized defender truly has no chance. This is gonna kind of hop, stab hard with his right foot. This defender has no choice but to fade back that way because Dybantsa has the craziest first step ever for a wing. And then again, we see how low he gets. He dribbles through the trap, finishes through contact, and one. If there's one like athletic complaint I have about AJ that keeps him from being like 10 out of 10 like a Men Thompson level athlete, is that he isn't like the craziest explosive off of 1 foot in traffic against contact. Like, when he can just rise up and dunk, he obviously has, crazy vertical pop. But definitely some of it is probably his strength and just like how big and long his body is. Like, he has such long extended limbs that it can probably be tough to generate the amount of force he needs in traffic. But anyways, crazy split right here. You don't often see 6'9" guys getting below the shoulders of both pick and roll trappers getting downhill and finishing. Like, just a normal play for Mr. Dybantsa. He has an excellent left hand. We'll see that later when we talk about his playmaking. But Dybantsa, on his way to the basket, has been able to use his left hand to hit some of these runners right there. And he is really impressive in the pick and roll so far. I think this Villanova game, which was his first of the season, was the best I'd ever seen in the pick and roll. And he's driving with so much more pace than he ever did in high school, where instead of just like exploding to the basket here and trying to run through this defender's chest, which he could, Dybantsa knows that the space on the floor is going to be here. He waits for a great Gortat screen by Cater right here, and then it's just going to go up and explode and finish. So I think his discernment in these situations has been encouraging, and of course it bears out in the numbers, right? He's getting to the basket a ton. He has 9 dunks on the year, I think 4 or 5 self-created half-court dunks, which is a good number for an entire season. But I love when he picks his spot right here. He's not just bashing his way to the rim. He takes a little hang dribble, and then, oh my goodness, he is the shin angle goat in this draft. He really is. Shout out shin angle Twitter. But again, moving forward, finishing through contact, and AJ is so good at just like setting up these drives in the pick and roll. they're showing two bodies right here, so this screener is simply just going to go away. So AJ can take two dribbles and get right to the basket. He's going to miss this shot, and I do think AJ still suffers from early pickup syndrome, which literally every young perimeter player does. Like, take one more dribble, and it's obviously hard to dribble through digs, right? Shelton Henderson's digging from the corner, and it's tough to dribble through like an extended arm, but obviously that's what the best players do, right? And I think Dybantsa at his ceiling will need to do that. But again, the flexibility and just like the way he can contort his body as like a 6'9", 6'10 guy, getting below the frames of like wings and guards is truly a sight to behold. And while AJ, I don't think has been as reliant on his mid-range jumper as he was pre-NCAA, which was a big concern of mine, and I think kind of cements him as a bona fide superstar offensive prospect, the kind of rim stuff. Of course, he still has the crazy fadeaway turnaround shooting in his bag, and to me, when he combines it with his driving and his pace off the dribble, then it becomes completely unstoppable. He was on one in this Clemson game, especially in the second half. This was his Anthony Edwards Michigan State second half, if anyone remembers that game. I want to pay attention to how freaking far he strides with just one spin move step. Like, he goes from here, his pivot foot, all the way to right here in the middle of the paint, stops on a dime. Once again, want to notice just like the weird ways he can contort his body, and it's more than just like cool to look at on a YouTube video. This is the kind of stuff that allows him to make an explosive move to the basket, immediately slow his momentum, which of course the defender isn't able to do. He flies backwards because AJ is running right at him, and AJ is just so surgical hitting these fadeaways. He's going to hop towards the middle of the floor, but I want you to pay attention to this kind of triangle of defenders and how Clemson is trying to defend this AJ Dybantsa fadeaway. So AJ picks up the ball. We have one defender coming from the blind side to double team, and then we have this weak side defender jutting out to Richie Saunders because he's a huge threat to shoot the three, but it doesn't matter because Dybantsa is able to just shoot and fade away over him anyway. It looks incredibly easy for him, and these are just fun to watch. He's an efficient mid-range shooter. The second reason, the first being the rim stuff, the second reason I felt confident moving AJ above Boozer, and I want to say that this is more about AJ impressing me than Boozer being disappointing. Like, I am kind of worried about Boozer's defense more than I was before the year, but he is obviously exceptional, English. AJ's passing has been sick, and he loves to pass with his left hand. I've been charting this, and he passes more with his left hand than any prospect I charted in last year's class aside from Derek Queen. So that is saying something, and it surprised me, but there have been some beautiful passes on the move in the pick and roll, throwing it up, and his big man, it's not a perfectly placed pass. Like, his big man does have to stretch out and get it, but that's definitely a makeable alley-oop pass. And remember what the help defense was doing on this play last time? AJ remembered. That was at about 15 minutes left in the second half. This time, once again, very similar shell here and setup where Clemson has a mismatch here on Dybantsa, obviously. They have a blindside help defender, and they have this defender jutting out to Saunders on the corner. This time, though, AJ is reading this live, and I think this is, I can't tell if he no-looks this or if this defender is just kind of executing the same thing that he did last time, because AJ certainly, like, his head, it looks like it's facing kind of to an empty corner, so we certainly could be looking him off and contributing. But again, another left-handed pass, and this is maybe my favorite pass he's ever made. It's not like the flashiest Dybantsa pass of all time, but it showcases his immense gravity as a scorer, his willingness to manipulate that and use it to create easy shots for teammates, and of course some really impressive skill with the left hand. And did I talk about just crazy passing skill? Like, some of these reads, it's not like he's requiring insane vision or anything, but we see aggressive hedge. AJ immediately goes smoothly through the legs, and the change of speed and direction here, I mean, special. His handle, I think, needs a lot of work. Like, his ball control is very loose. He dribbles really high a lot of the time, like we talked about. He picks up his dribble early, but when it works, holy hell, it works, and just bullet right there to Richie Saunders, who ends up getting blocked right there. Really nice play. He is, I don't know if Dybantsa passed as much with his left hand NCAA. I wasn't tracking it like I do in college, and I had to go through my notes, but it has been like a noticeable amount of stuff, and the accuracy on some of those has been quite impressive. The accuracy has also been really impressive on these lob passes, and this Clemson game was exceptional for his passing. Definitely the best passing game of his young college career. Great accuracy this time on the lob pass, putting it right where his big man could get it. And then a couple minutes later, a nearly identical play, lobbing it up for his big man to go get it. And obviously, this is just an excellent play by the roller to explode off the ground and posterize this guy. But it's a great pass by Dybantsa, leading the ball to the rim, unlike he did on that clip earlier where he throws it kind of behind his big man right here. Not into the space like up here, but into the space over here, which obviously makes his job harder. Where we see when he can actually pass with two hands, of course. He was passing with just his left hand, which is, of course, much more difficult to be accurate than throwing the ball with two hands, especially if you're not a lefty like AJ isn't. But yeah, really impressive accuracy on those passes. And of course, he can hit the skip pass as well. Once again, we see blind double. This time, though, the weak side defender stays down. So Dybantsa is just going to hit the easy skip pass. And I don't want to say easy skip pass. It's not like a particularly easy pass. It was a big window, but I think it showcased his gravity and ability to process those double teams. And he made two exceptional plays, literally back to back. I have them out of order, but two just quick processing, reading the floor, leading the ball into help. So yeah, I think Dybantsa's playmaking is underrated and has kind of made me think I was underrating it before. He's definitely not perfect. Like, he misses a lot of reads on the move going downhill. Like, you saw a lot of his best passes were from a standstill when he doesn't have to like process and scan the defense with a live dribble. That's a hard thing to do. We see AJ miss one read right here, pass over top for a layup. One read right here, pass right in front of him for a layup. One read right here, pass out to the three. Another read right here, pass inside. You could argue he misses 4 passing reads before turning the ball over on that play. And then he has another interior pass right here. He has the skip to Saunders right here on the opposite wing. But again, he doesn't end up making that, and the ball moves. But this was the high value pass right there. And I don't think AJ is like an elite passer or something. I don't want to really make that what people think, but he doesn't need to be, right? Like, he is such a dominant advantage creator and scoring prospect that I don't need AJ to be like a crazy playmaker. And I think his defense deserves its own video. I've definitely been higher on it than the numbers, and they're good flashes, like nice rim rotation, great rebound in traffic there by Dybantsa. But I think in terms of like feel and processing, he's a step or two behind, as are many 18-year-olds playing college basketball right here. They're just kind of switching a pick and roll right here. Dybantsa clearly doesn't realize it, and he's way behind the play here, ends up jumping and gets lucky that this guy misses. But there are some crazy flashes, especially on the ball. And like I said, his defense deserves its own video. He can blanket guys with his length, and I do think he's a more impactful defender than his numbers would suggest, but still probably a little below average relative to the class. But I don't think that's crazy surprising necessarily for a freshman in Dybantsa. You know, Boozer as well having his struggles on defense, but my God, AJ's offense is kind of as incredible as I could have imagined. He's not shooting as many threes maybe as you like, but I don't really care when he can walk to the basket and generate dunks in the half court like he does, as well as, of course, using his footwork and craft and touch and all of that stuff. And Dybantsa, while definitely not as kind of safe and immediately dominant as a player like Boozer or Darren Peterson, who I still have at 1, by the way, Dybantsa is phenomenal, and I think he's a real candidate to go number 1 in this draft. Just absurd athlete with, I think, the potential to be like one of the best offensive players in the NBA at his peak because of his scoring, his shooting potential, his playmaking, all of that good stuff. But let me know what you think, and I hope you have a great day or night whenever you're watching this.